Another NATO ally now appears to be putting distance between itself and Donald Trump's warpath, amid the Iran crisis. After Spain, Giorgia Meloni's Italy has also been reported as denying landing access for American aircraft. NATO capitals may be growing more cautious as Iran escalates its warnings ahead of any ground operation.
دشمنان شکست خورده آمریکایی صهیونیستی ایران اسلامی باید بدانند ملت آگاه و مقاوم و فرزندان سرافراز آنها در نیروهای مسلح ثابت کردند پای هر متجاوزی به کشورشان را قطع و آنها را به خاک سیاه و مذلت خواهند.
A U.S. ally, Italy, has reportedly denied landing permission to American military aircraft, underlining growing discomfort among Washington's partners as the Iran war continues to expand. According to the reports, the U.S. aircraft were denied permission to land at Sigonella Air Base in Sicily after seeking clearance before heading onward to the Middle East. The aircraft had reportedly requested landing permission as part of their route toward the Middle East, but Italy did not allow the stopover at the base. Reuters reported the permission snub, citing a source close to the matter, and the episode was seen as another sign of Allied caution over deeper involvement in the conflict. Italy has now joined a growing list of U.S. allies that appear to be keeping some distance from the war, even as pressure builds around Washington's next moves. Spain has closed its airspace to U.S. military aircraft involved in operations against Iran, implementing a comprehensive restriction on overflights supporting the ongoing conflict. This measure extends beyond Spain's prior refusal to grant U.S. forces access to military installations within its sovereign territory for logistical staging. The policy shift received initial coverage from El País, citing defense sources, preceding formal governmental acknowledgement of the airspace control determination.
As we've said from the beginning, we will not authorize the use of Moran and Rota for any acts related to the war in Iran. We have made this clear to the American government from the beginning. We don't authorize either the use of military bases or the use of airspace for actions related to the war in Iran.
Spain's strategic geographic placement positions it as a primary aerial corridor connecting North American bases with Middle Eastern operational theaters efficiently. U.S. military flights must now execute circuitous routing to circumvent Spanish airspace entirely when transiting toward regional deployment zones. Extended flight profiles consequently elevate fuel expenditures, extend mission timelines, and complicate operational scheduling across affected airlift formations. The prohibition reportedly excludes genuine emergency diversions, preserving limited operational flexibility for unanticipated in-flight contingencies. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has emerged among principal European critics of military engagements directed against Iran during the escalation phase. Sánchez characterized the conflict as strategically imprudent and legally questionable, calling upon the United States to adhere to prevailing international legal frameworks. First of all, as you know, we have denied the United States the use of the Rota and Moran bases for this illegal war. All flight plans that involved actions related to the operation in Iran were rejected, every single one of them, including those of refueling aircraft. It has not been easy, but I believe we have done so because this is allowed, among other things, by the bilateral agreement governing these bases, and because we are a sovereign country that does not wish to take part in illegal wars. President Trump previously indicated potential trade curtailments targeting Spain due to its non-participation in regional military support arrangements. Madrid demonstrates sustained commitment to autonomous policy formulation despite associated diplomatic frictions and prospective economic repercussions. Donald Trump has hinted that he wants to seize Kharg Island as leverage to force open the Strait of Hormuz and strengthen U.S. bargaining power. Kharg Island is crucial because it reportedly handles roughly 90% of Iran's crude exports, making it one of Tehran's most strategically sensitive economic lifelines. In recent days, Iran has repeatedly warned against any U.S. ground invasion and has threatened American forces with severe consequences if such an operation goes ahead. In a sharp escalation during the ongoing conflict, Donald Trump signaled plans targeting Iran's critical oil infrastructure. Trump said he preferred the idea of taking Iran's oil and considered seizing Kharg Island, the country's main export hub. He made these remarks in an interview with the Financial Times published on March 30th, amid rising regional tensions. Trump compared the proposal to Venezuela, saying the United States would control oil resources indefinitely following leadership capture. He also dismissed potential obstacles to such an operation, claiming that the United States could take the island very easily if required. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "To be honest with you, my favorite thing is to take the oil in Iran, but some stupid people back in the US say, why are you doing that? But they're stupid people. Maybe we take Karg Island. Maybe we don't. We have a lot of options. I don't think they, Iran, have any defense. We could take it very easily." Unquote. Donald Trump's remarks came as the United States deployed more than 3,500 troops to the Middle East, signaling a growing military buildup amid escalating regional conflict. Donald Trump indicated that the decision to seize Karg Island has not yet been finalized, stressing that it remains only one option on the table. He said the United States has multiple military and economic options in play, including the possibility of taking control of the strategically vital oil export hub. Trump also added that such a move might ultimately not go ahead, highlighting that there is still uncertainty and internal debate around authorizing any seizure. Analysts, however, have warned that capturing the island could sharply escalate the conflict with Iran and lead to significantly higher casualties for US forces and regional partners. The Pentagon had ordered the deployment of more than 10,000 troops trained for ground combat operations as tensions escalated. Thousands of personnel had already arrived in the region, including Marines and units from the 82nd Airborne Division. Officials briefed on the plan stressed that any mission would fall short of a full-scale invasion, instead relying on elite special forces and selected infantry units for limited, high-impact strikes. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has publicly insisted that Washington can achieve its military objectives against Iran without sending large numbers of American troops deep into Iranian territory. At the same time, the Trump administration has already deployed U.S. Marines to the broader Middle East theater as the Iran war grinds into its fifth week, signaling that Washington is preparing for further escalation. In addition, the Pentagon has drawn up plans to send more than 1,000 soldiers from the U.S. Army's 82nd Airborne Division to the region, bolstering rapid response capabilities if the crisis spirals.
Mr. Doctor, those couple of weeks, how seriously is the United States considering deploying ground troops? And in those couple of weeks, what exactly will
I
you do?
won't discuss military tactics. I don't think anyone in our system is going to talk to you about what we have planned or what we intend to do, and there's obvious reasons for it. But to the extent it has to do with like military tactics and plans, I would refer you to the Department of War, and the Department of War is probably going to tell you they can't tell you anything. So other than to say that we have objectives, I told you what those objectives are, and we are very confident that we are on the verge of achieving them very, very soon.
The USS Tripoli, carrying around 3,500 US sailors and Marines, has now arrived in the Middle East, according to a report by CNN.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. برآوردهای غلط رئیس جمهور آمریکا و سران جنایتکار رژیم صهیونیستی باعث گردیده است که ملت قهرمان و دشمن ستیز و نیروهای مسلح مقتدر و شجاع ایران را با شاخصهای مادی و دنیایی خود بسنجند. چنین محاسبات اشتباهی حضور بی سابقه مردم بصیر و انقلابی در خیابانها و اقتدار و ایستادگی معجزه‌گون نیروهای مسلح در میدان نبرد را برای دشمن غیر قابل پیش بینی نموده است. این خطای راهبردی دشمنان آمریکایی و صهیونیستی ایران اسلامی آنها را تحقیر و در مسیر نابودی قرار داده است. آنها با خیالات و توهم فکر می‌کنند با جنگ تبلیغاتی و نمایش سلاح‌ها و تجهیزات به ظاهر پیشرفته نظامی و ترور کودکان، زنان، مردان، دانشمندان و فرماندهان شجاع نیروهای مسلح کشور خواهند توانست ایران مقتدر و سربلندی را که در طول تاریخ در برابر دشمنان خود سر فرود نیاورده است را تسلیم نمایند و یا به خیال خام و باطل خود بر تنگه هرمز تسلط پیدا کنند که این آرزو را تا ابد به گور خواهند برد. دشمنان شکست خورده آمریکایی صهیونیستی ایران اسلامی باید بدانند ملت آگاه و مقاوم و فرزندان سرافراز آنها در نیروهای مسلح ثابت کردند پای هر متجاوزی به کشورشان را قطع و آنها را به خاک سیاه و مذلت خواهند نشاند و من نصر الا من عند الله العزیز الحکیم.
Donald Trump has announced a pause on strikes targeting Iran's energy sites, while peace talks continue in parallel with the military standoff. Even so, Iran appeared to reject the peace plan, calling it excessive, unrealistic and illogical, signaling that Tehran remains far from accepting Washington's terms.
It is very clear that the United States and the Zionist regime are using the facilities of regional countries to attack Iran. And in such circumstances, international law and our inherent right to self-defense allow us to target the origin and source of these aggressions. Just a few days ago, news emerged that American fuel tankers are operating in bases in Saudi Arabia. In other neighboring countries in the region, it is the same. Our demand is very clear. We truly expect countries in the region to prevent the United States and the Zionist regime from using their facilities and territories to attack Iran, in accordance with the principle of good neighborliness and international law. We have not had any negotiations with America. What has happened is that they have presented a request for negotiations along with a set of proposals, which has reached us through some intermediaries, including Pakistan. Our position is very clear. We are currently in a situation where the military aggression and invasion by America continues with intensity. And we are certainly exerting all our efforts and capabilities to defend ourselves. We do not evaluate these claims as honest. The information that has been conveyed to us from the U.S., regardless of what name you want to give it, as 15 articles or whatever you call it, involved a large number of requests that are excessive, unrealistic, and illogical. The meetings that Pakistan has with neighboring countries are within a framework that they themselves established. We have not participated in this framework. If regional countries, neighboring countries, are concerned about peace and security, that is a commendable matter. If membership in the Non-Proliferation Treaty is going to be just a name on a paper for us, and we are not only unable to benefit from the rights stipulated in it, but also subjected to aggression and injustice, what is the point of membership in this document? We are still members of this document, and as long as we are members, we are certainly committed to the obligations stipulated in it. More regrettable than this criminal action of U.S.-Israel attacking Iran is the indifference of the agency and the Director General personally, which, in fact, for the umpteenth time, has adopted a very incorrect approach towards the military aggression of the United States and the Zionist regime specifically against Iran's nuclear facilities, and instead of condemning the aggressors and holding them accountable. In his interviews, he uses expressions and statements that complicate the problems. The countries in the region that he, Zelensky, has visited are certainly smarter than to allow such a person, who has subjected his own country to a very destructive war over the past 4 years and brought about such tragedies for the good people of Ukraine, letting him to deceive them. If a government claims to represent the people and values popular sovereignty, it must definitely prioritize public demands and make them the basis of its policies. However, unfortunately, this is not the case in America. Despite the claim that democracy and the opinion of the people rule there, we know that decisions regarding a matter of such importance as war and peace are made by a small number of individuals, by a specific circle, possibly in coordination with a genocidal regime in our region.